Over-the-counter tax deeds versus $50 auction properties that are coming up for sale. This is going to be a secret location where the government might even be taking a loss to get some of these houses off their plate. So we've been talking about cheap over-the-counter tax deeds where you can sometimes get property for a couple $100 that can be worth several thousand. It is one of the best ways to get into real estate if you're a beginner, if you want to make some money, maybe create some residual income, create some wealth. This is a great way to do it. So today we're going to do a bit of a head-to-head comparison of over-the-counter versus possible dirt cheap property coming up at an auction, and basically the county's willing to take a loss if it doesn't sell. So this is going to be super exciting. I'm on the road, wedding edition here, about to go attend a wedding, but we got to keep the live streams going. So this could be a little raw in nature, but we're getting it done here from the laptop with the power, obviously, of the interweb. So it's Dustin Hahn here, and this is our Tax Lien School channel, and we have over 3,600 videos to help you get started here with tax liens and deeds. And our goal is to make tax lien and deed investing accessible to everybody through this site. And if you've been struggling to maybe make extra money in real estate, or you want something proven, real estate is the way to do it. I used to be working on oil rig, very miserable and depressed, and it was tax deeds that allowed me to escape that job and really get into real estate. So maybe you can do that for you as well. Quick disclaimer though, these streams aren't perfect. We can't promise you'll get a property, but what I can promise you is if you don't show up, you're going to miss out. But the other thing I can tell you is that people are watching these streams, buying properties super cheap and posting about it in the comments. And if you take action, that could be you as well. So we're going to move forward here. We're going to bring in the wizard himself as he gets ready to stand up from his chair. Perfect timing, coming in for the show. Josh
Hello.
Blanchard, thank you for being here today.
Hello. Good morning or good afternoon. Hello.
Excellent. So we're going to dive in. We're going to cut the fluff and just get right to it and show you guys where these properties are. Because if you're first time tuning in, that's what we do. We show real deals that are coming up, real auctions that are happening that you can take a swing at. A lot of things are, hypothetical, and this stuff is real deals. So we're in the trenches here all the time. Josh is getting ready to head out to the Texas auction coming up. I'm sure many of you guys will see him there. We're doing multiple auctions per month. So this is boots on the ground training, and our goal is to give you guys the most resources possible to make this business work. And I know a lot of people watch, it's like, oh, if this works so good, you guys wouldn't be teaching it on YouTube. And we like to be transparent. We are real estate investors, and we're not perfect. We are just like you. We're here to make money, and we do have a business as well, except what we do is we give away pretty much everything you need to get started. And if you ever want to come join us with an auction or want one-on-one help, you can click the link below and do that as well. Josh has the book that we give away. And that's the book in the description below. Everybody can grab. So from here, Josh, why don't we hop over to the screen and just get right into the nuts and bolts of where some of these killer deals are that people can swing at. And time is of the essence, because when we show on these streams, a lot of people go to these deals. So it's time to get in and let us know who's here today, where you're tuning in from, your name, your state, because that helps us tune in the content as we go. So let's dive in.
Okay, nice. So I'm going to show you this opportunity, and I found it on the Vault. So this is vault.taxlienschool.com. If you haven't been here before, you definitely have to come check it out. There's an OTC section called Buy These OTCs Now. And when I scrolled down here, I found an interesting opportunity in Ohio. So we've got Hamilton County here. It just says that in Hamilton County, properties that fail to sell at 2 sheriff auctions are offered again at the auditor's forfeited land sale. So the timing here is perfect. If you're watching this now, you're in the right place at the right time, because this auction, that's not very common. This auction maybe happens once or twice a year. The next auction coming up is Tuesday, September 9th. So you got a little bit of time to go ahead and get prepared for this and get ready. So what's interesting about this auction is that there are properties that these properties have not sold at previous auctions, and now they're going to this forfeited land sale. And the really cool aspect about this is that if it doesn't sell for the minimum asking price, then they're able to re-offer it, and there's pretty much no bottom, it seems. But now it looks like it used to be about $5. You can see that the minimum bid has increased from $5 to $50. So the wild thing is that, I think a few years ago, let's say the opening bid was $10,000. If it didn't sell, you could have got that property for $5. So now they're going a little bit higher. $50 though is not bad. And so I know that this has happened before because in the 2021 sale, they did sell property for $50. Let me go ahead and show you our AI tool that we've built. So I came in and I wanted to give it some properties to digest and show me some good deals, but it was able to pull previous results. Here we go. So this is from 2021. There was one parcel. There was a total amount owed of almost 2 grand. That one sold for $50. Another one had an opening bid of 5,280, sold for $200. Another one, 320 owed. Not much of a discount, but that one sold for 150. Now here's a nice discount. There was a $6,460 opening bid, went for $50. So it says is $50 the absolute lowest that they'll accept? No, it was not a hard floor. It used to be $5, but yes, so now it is $50. So if you're just tuning in, let us know where you are, where you're from. This is coming up because we had a couple questions about Ohio, and now we found this sweet opportunity that you're just in time to attend. So we got an auction coming up Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. This is their version of OTCs, over the counters. It's just going to be at an auction. And so I think the question is, are all these properties junk? Because sometimes that's the case. You got to search for the gold. But there are actually some houses going on this auction. And here's an example: 75 Harrison Ave, Cleves, Ohio. Uh, got an estimated value of about $156,000. It's a 2-1, almost 1,000 square feet. You can see on Prop Wire, and this is all public information. None of this is private information. This is all county data just for the YouTube algorithm. But absentee owner, free and clear, high equity, out of state, also vacant home. So yeah, it's going to need a lot of work. It's going to take some money to get this thing remodeled. But the thing is that if nobody buys this for the opening bid, you could get this for $50, which means it's just about being in the right place at the right time. We've seen that property has sold for $50 before at this auction. So I'm going to go ahead and walk you through some of these right here. Just remember, if you're not subscribed, if you're not signed up, you're not going to get notifications about these. Because again, time is of the essence. There's tons of times that we do live content and people are calling the county as we're doing the stream. So that's why you got to make sure that you are subscribed so you get notified about these.
So
But
Josh,
here, yeah.
as we're diving into this and you guys have questions, go ahead, put your questions here in the chat, and we will always get to the questions here afterwards. And just want to say hello and welcome to Wasim, Uncle Billy. Good to see you. Jeff, what's happening? Joel, and good idea. We will get to your questions here, but our goal, like we say, is to build a tax lien indeed community. So when you guys check out these live streams and you let us know who's here and where you're tuning in from, it helps us dive in. So for example, we have Huntington Beach, Connecticut, so we can spend a bit of time diving into those as well. So whenever you let us know, it helps us get some familiar faces going and helps us make better content for everybody here. And as usual, in the description below, we have the starter kit here for Tax Liens and Deeds, the ABCs of Tax Lien and Deed investing, which Josh has up right here. And this is always the handbook that we're referring to as we go through this stuff. It is kind of your instruction manual to be able to do this everywhere. We have all the cities, all the states. So that's for free below in the description. And we always talk about it because we use it nonstop as we are going through the auctions and things like that. So you guys can get that for free down below. And Josh is going to be in Houston here, I think, in a couple days. So if you ever want to attend a live auction, you can also schedule a free call below and we can dive into that as well. So back to the screen, we're going to look at some deals. Welcome everybody. If you're just joining, let us know who's tuning in here, and we got some good stuff on the plate here today.
All right, so you got the parcel number, and remember, we're always going to base this off of the parcel number. And so some of these are going to have like addresses in the property description. So you can see this one, for instance, is 613 Taffel Street. But here it's got a $0 for building. So there's land, it's saying it's worth $25,000. The land is, and then there's a building value of $0. So always make sure you drive these properties and reference the parcel number. If you're looking for a place to throw the parcel number in, we always recommend Regrid, which is free. You can go into Regrid app. You can go into open the web app and you can take that parcel ID and throw it in here. But let me show you some interesting opportunities that are coming up here. So one of them actually is worth, okay, here we go. So this is 3888 Liston Ave. So they're saying the house is worth about $91,000 and then the lot is about 10,860. So they are often a bit light on the assessed value here. And so this is probably worth closer to 130, 140, 150. So it does have an opening bid of $31,798.25. So is this property going to sell for this price? I highly doubt it. I don't think anyone's going to want to pay $31,000 when, if nobody makes a bid, they can re-offer it right away for pretty much whatever anybody is willing to pay. And so we know this is true because we've seen in 2021, again, that they sold property for a discount. So there's one that had a balance of 6,460, sold for 50 bucks, 1690 sold for 50, 5,200 sold for 200. So this does happen all the time. And so could you get it for 50 bucks? Maybe. You never know. Maybe a couple $100, maybe $1,000. But the ability to get a $100,000 house, $110,000 house, to get that potentially for $1,000 is pretty wild. And so the county truly is willing to take these at a loss. They just want to get them back on the tax roll and they want to see the situation change. And so by the time it gets to this stage, most of these properties are going to be vacant. You can see a couple of the descriptions here on Prop Wire. So we can see it is vacant, out-of-state owners. They just want someone to do something with this. And so even if you just acquire it, for $1,000 and sell it for 30, they're just happy to get it back on the tax roll. So this is a real thing. It gets even crazier than that, though. Let me show you something absolutely
Josh,
wild here.
as you get into the crazy stuff here, being called for the wedding duties, so everybody's in great hands with the maestro, the wizard. So we'll see you guys. Make sure to put your questions there and hand over the controls. Away we go. See you soon.
All right,
Josh.
all right. Take care. Okay, so this one has got an opening bid. I think this might be a church. I'm not too sure what it is. We could always go ahead, take that parcel number and throw it in the description here. So it couldn't find anything. A lot of times what's going to happen is you might need to actually get rid of the dashes. You might need to include an extra zero, some things like that. So if it's not working for you, often what the first thing that you'll have to do is go ahead and search like Hamilton County parcel search, and then see how it shows up. And you do have the owner's name. And so you can search by that. This is Christ Cathedral Church of God. So probably is a church building, but you can see the back taxes is $486,000. And so is this going to sell for $486,000? No, definitely not. But it could sell for 1,000. It could sell for 1,500 bucks, 2,000, $10,000, 40. I mean, even $40,000 to get something that's got to get something that has an accessibility of 700,000 for 40 grand would be insane, right? And so it's just going to sell for as high as people are willing to go. And you're not sure, how many people are going to be there. Maybe there's going to be a handful. There could be 10, 20, it could be 5, there could be 100. I have been to a lot of these auctions though at Hamilton County, and this would have been probably, I think 4 years ago would have been the last time we would have been to a sale in Hamilton County, like just before COVID. And there was not a lot of people in the room. We also did mortgage foreclosures there, their sheriff sales. We were able to pick up a lot of good deals at the sheriff sales. And so this is a great place where you can find really good opportunities. Here's the one I showcased, or no, 75 Harrison Ave. Let me go ahead and find that for you here on this sheet. So 75 Harrison. So this one's got a land building value, not that much, right? Like 60 grand more or less. But when you pull it up on PropWire, you see that it could have an off-market value of $156,000. And so it could be entirely possible that in its current condition, it's worth closer to this. And so this one has an open bid of 16,211. Also, it looks like US Bank potentially has an interest in it as well. So they're letting it go to the auction. But it didn't sell for this price before, which means most likely it's not going to sell for this price now. There's a reason it didn't sell for this price before. It could just be too high. And so at the bidding, if nobody picks it up for the $16,211, which could still actually be a great deal, that could be a really good deal. You need to drive the property, of course. Maybe it's close to a tear down, and so then it's really just the value of the land. But it could be an exceptional deal. But yeah, maybe it doesn't go for this price, which is highly likely, and then you can go ahead and get it for dirt cheap, $50, as low as $50, which is wild. So there are a whole bunch of different opportunities here. Now, sometimes when you're looking at over the counters and you're going through a list and you search and you see like, okay, wow, everything is worth like $300. So this is a lot that looks like it's 9 feet. You can see it's IRR. Usually IRR, that means a regular. These ones, they're just junk. They're just like little slivers of land that are located that have really no value. And so, people ask how much can you get started? How much you need to get started in the tax lien, tax deed business? So this is probably one that you could pick up for $50. But why would you want to do that, right? Because it is just this irregular piece of land. It's not going to have any value. It's just going to be a waste of money, and then you're going to be on the hook, paying taxes for something that you don't want. And so that's what a lot of these are. They're just junk. They have no value. They should never have been parceled out the way that they were. And then you have stuff like this where, you got a assessed value north of $700,000. And you got a couple of properties here. So I did actually throw it into the AI, and then it gave me a list of properties that I should target, top deals. I wanted it to approach it though from the perspective, not necessarily of the opening bid, because I don't think a lot of these are going to sell for the opening bid. Right. Yeah. So you got a lot of stuff that's got, there are actually a lot of houses that are going to this auction. And so that's why I think it's going to be a great auction to attend. Not sure how many people are going to be there, but we did see that in 2021, property was selling for $50, $150, $200, which is crazy. It's crazy to me that you can buy property, you can buy pieces of land for, that kind of money. That's extremely cheap. So going back to vault.taxlienschool.com, that is just one of these auctions that are here listed. And so there are a lot of other counties here, different places. So we've highlighted before Maryland. Maryland has got a ton of deals. Michigan, we've talked about before. Michigan, they are a county that you can actually pay with your credit card, which is pretty wild. But whatever doesn't sell, that's going to be surplus, and they're going to have extremely low bids. Indiana, we got stuff. Now, there are a ton of over the counters in Florida. But a quick thing about Florida, remember that Florida is a bit of a interesting state because it is a tax lien state and it's also a tax deed state. So if you get a tax lien in Florida, generally with a tax lien, and this is the way it works in most other states, is you buy a tax lien, and so you're essentially paying the taxes on behalf of the homeowner, and you're getting interest on that. And then if they don't end up paying you back, your security is the property. That's how your investment is secured. So they either pay you back or you get the house. So in Florida, it actually goes to a tax deed sale. And so you as the lien holder simply get your interest. And so if you're looking at any over-the-counter deeds in Florida, it's kind of weird that nobody got it because the lien holder could have got that property, because essentially the opening bid is what the lien holder is owed. So what happens is they petition their tax lien to go to a tax deed sale. And so that's why in Florida, over the counter liens could be good, but over the counter deeds, it's going to be really hard to find a good over the counter deed because that means that everybody else has passed on it. Or sorry, that means a lien holder has passed on it. So somebody had the right, somebody had the ability to get that property, but they didn't foreclose on it. They didn't take ownership, which is weird. So Florida is here. I think I've seen a lot of questions about Florida, but if you want to get into the tax lien tax deed game in Florida, it will actually be best to either A, attend auctions, or B, if you want to eliminate the competition, do a pre-auction deal. So that just means simply trying to acquire the property before the tax deed sale. And to find the most motivated of individuals, that would be finding people who are about to go to a tax deed sale. So let's say it's been almost 3 years since the first lien was purchased. It takes about 3 years before you can foreclose on someone. Then you could actually send them a text message, something polite. You could send them a little mailer or something like that, and try to acquire the property before. Okay, I see lots of questions there. Keep them going. We'll stop here in a minute and then get to some questions. Looking at a couple other OTCs. Remember, this is vault.taxlienschool.com. So if you haven't been here before, you definitely got to sign up. We've got Arkansas. Now, Arkansas used to be sweet, but this is an auction that is online. So they're over the counters. They go straight to an auction, and then it gets bid up quite high. And so the whole point of wanting to get into over the counters is that you eliminate competition and have the ability to get property at discount, like just the cheapest price as possible. And so it's hard to do that here because it is accessible to everyone. Now, the difference with Arkansas and then the one that we talked about earlier, and if you just tune into the stream, you're going to definitely have to go back to the beginning because we are highlighting a smoke show of a sale here that's happening September 9th, 2025, for Hamilton County, which is Cincinnati, Ohio. So this sale, if it doesn't sell for the opening bid, it's pretty much you're able to get it for $50, and so it's going to start the bidding. So let's say it is $50, then you can start the bidding from there. And we have seen that in prior years, people did get property here for $50, $100, $150 when the opening bid may have been like $6,000. And so it really does happen. And so the competition, though, is limited to people in the room. That's the difference. So you can see that this is at 4700 Smith Road. That's the difference between a place like Arkansas, where it's online. So their county held stuff is online, which means anybody, like anybody in the world, if you have a US LLC, you can be bidding on those properties, right? And so that's the big difference. And when it comes to looking for the best opportunity for over the counters, that's what you want to pay attention to. Is that, easy access, easy information, online, things like that can have more competition than an in-person auction, for instance. But I don't think there are results from 2023 or 2024. So I don't know if they haven't just done these auctions for a little bit, but you could always go ahead and call them and ask what the last sale results were, because that's going to help you figure out, if there are good deals. But as far as 2021, we saw some smoking deals. Again, we've got probably a church going up that has an assessed value of like 800 grand or something, an opening bid of, I think, $400,000. So if it doesn't sell, which no one's gonna pay $486,000 for this. That means then the county is willing to take this at a loss. And so this is how you can find some really, really good deals. Not everybody's going to know about this auction or attend it. It's outside of the norm. It's outside of the regular auctions. Okay, so we covered some OTCs today. We covered a couple different counties that are out there. Talked a little bit about how to find the best ones. Talked about the best angle you can take in Florida. And if you haven't been here before, you definitely want to check it out. We have highlighted some really good deals in Maryland before, some smoke show deals. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's take some questions. If you're new here, let us know where you're from. Okay, I got to tell you, I've never actually used this thing before. Let me see if I can. Oh, nice. Okay, great. There we go. I think I'm getting good at this already. So we got Billy in Connecticut. Nice. Hello. Welcome, Billy. We got Wasim. Hello. Hello. Jeff from New Jersey, new student. Nice. So Jeff, New Jersey is actually super competitive. There's a lot of people who are willing to just buy tax liens at like 0% interest. There's hedge funds. A lot of people will come in and buy up everything. So a lot of times we just recommend that people pop over to like Pennsylvania because there's a ton of opportunity in Pennsylvania. Joel says, can't wait to hop on the program September 26th. Can't delay. You got to go now. You got to take action now. Let's see. Can you buy property after auction? So these ones, pretty much what's going to happen is if nobody buys it, then they will sell it for $50. And there's probably like, they might have something somewhere, but I do think that whatever doesn't sell in Cincinnati, in this particular place, Hamilton County, it just goes to the land bank is the way that I think it works. And then the land bank, once it gets there, it's kind of a different system. And so they're probably going to do some auctions or marketing and things like that. So that may be how it goes. Hello, Rosa. No problem. Stick around. Keep. We've got over 3,000 videos here. A lot of content. We do have the ABCs of tax lien and deed investing, which is the best place to start. And then if you're looking for more, if you're looking for coaching, hand holding, things like that, you can always book a call. We will paste or post the link. I think I can do this too. Let's see. Is it showing up? Yeah. Want coaching and mentoring? Nice. Book a call with us in the description box below. Okay, great. Going back to questions, Q&A. Oscar saying hello. Howdy, howdy. Oh, actually, I'm out of order. Okay. Joel says, I've been following Dustin, speaking with Zuri, coming on the mentorship program, looking forward to growing and building real estate wealth. Awesome, Joel. Yes, welcome. That's the plan. That's what we do. I was just on the phone with someone today. They bought a county held property in Pennsylvania for $250, $150, something like that. They were all in $800, sold it for $15,000, which is awesome. That's huge returns. That's a sweet win. Then they took that money, went to another auction in Pennsylvania, and they got like three things for like a couple $1,000s. And so one of them is a mobile home, bought it for $1,900. There is someone in it that's renting it, or they want to rent it. They're not the owner. Their mother-in-law or their mother is the owner or something like that. And so they're the ones that lost the property. And so it's like, the $250 grows legs, turns into 15 grand. The 15 grand grows legs is going to turn into a lot more. And so that's what we do is we want to see people successful in this business. And so that's what we're all about. Do I need a real estate license to get into property tax or like tax sales? No, you definitely do not need a real estate license. Anyone can do this. There's no middleman, which is also why there's some risk. There's nobody necessarily there to stop you from making a mistake. The county just sells stuff as is. And so that's why it's always buyer beware. Due diligence is important. Just found this live stream. Awesome. Yeah. We usually do this on Tuesdays and Thursdays around this time, 1 p.m. PST. How do I get the book? Yeah, we've got the link below for the ABCs of tax lien and deed investing. So make sure you click that link. It'll be in this video. So, and then it's just a download. So we used to do this. We used to sell the book, but now it's just a PDF. That way we can get it in your hands quickly, easily, accessible, save the planet, that kind of thing. Okay, let's see. New Jersey, want to sign up for live auction? Just left this tax school site. Is it a 3-day Zoom training? Just want to know because I'm a truck driver. Just think about my schedule. Yeah, good question. I will answer that really quickly. It is 2-day Zoom training, like 8 hours more or less each day. It is also going to be recorded though. Oscar, hello. Currently at New Jersey, invest in PA. Great. Yeah, that's a great call. Now there is opportunity in New Jersey, but it's going to take a lot more effort, which is fine, if that's your own backyard. But yeah, there's so much going on in Pennsylvania. Oh, nice. Lori, so you're in Cincinnati, Ohio. Make sure you attend the sale in Cincinnati there on the 9th. If I buy a property, can I do anything to the property? I mean, within reason, yeah. I mean, anything that's like legal, yeah. I missed help from Maryland. Can you help me on this? Yeah, so we've got OTC videos, over-the-counter videos. If you watch a few of the last live streams where we talked about over-the-counters, we did highlight Maryland. We found like 3 really good auctions or 3 really good over-the-counters in Maryland. A lot of good stuff there. Harlan, welcome from Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee's got a lot of good stuff going on as well. They've got, it's a redeemable, it's like 1-year redemption period, but they do have a lot of secondary sales where there's some sweet deals. Rosa from Maine. Hello, welcome. I'm gonna hop on the program September 20th. Okay, nice. Yeah, that's great, Joel. Nice. I thought you were like saying, let's start this in September 2026. And I was thinking, gotta move now. See, not new to the channel, but this is my first live stream. Maricopa County, Arizona. Yeah, so we're in Maricopa County, Arizona. They got a ton of over-the-counter tax liens. It just takes some time to sift through. So we're big fans of onlinejobs.ph, which is where we go to get virtual assistants. You can find a lot of virtual assistants today in 2025 for $2.50 an hour, $3 an hour, $4 an hour. And so once you learn this business, a great way to maximize your time is to get a virtual assistant, and they can go through and look at over-the-counter tax liens in Maricopa County for you, find you some good deals. Went on my county's tax assessor's office and found so many properties bought with the zero interest, and some of these corporations are snapping up 10 at a time. Exactly, Jeff. Yeah, that's right. There are a lot of corporations that are super active in New Jersey, and so they're not going to be everywhere. And so you can go ahead and you can find areas that they're not, they're not competing. Just reminds me of a story back in the day in Arkansas. I did like the whole track. I was looking at all of the different auctions, and this guy there who was local, and he had a couple investors with him, not quite a hedge fund level, but he had deep pockets, and they were able to pay more for property than me because they're local. I was out of state, and he kept like outbidding me on auction properties, and I obviously it was a sting to him because I would bid things up trying to get them, and then he would have to keep bidding beyond me, and so I might cost him, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the span of months. And so I remember I walked up to him. I was like, I don't want to keep bidding against you. This is ridiculous. And I said, which auctions are you not going to? And so then he just told me all of the auctions that he wasn't going to. And then I really made those auctions a priority, which really helped. And so if you can avoid some competition, if you can find some places in New Jersey that they're not active, then that could be a great way. I'm in South Carolina. Yeah, you know what? We were looking at South Carolina. We definitely will. We will bring that up. Thank you very much. As told by Mindy. Hi, Lori Cook. Hello, hello. Carlitos in Georgia. Yeah, we talked about Georgia in REM sales, I think on like Tuesday this week, which is awesome. Oscar says in Maryland, do they have a website for tax? So Maryland is tax lien. And if you type in like Maryland over the counter tax liens, that's going to get you going. But also going back and watching our last few videos for over the counter, we do talk about that. Yeah, so for these over-the-counter tax liens, you don't actually have to register, you just deal with the county directly. See, before I could jump into lien investing, they changed everything. Now I don't know what's what anymore. I need a deep dive for Maricopa County. You know what? There is a lot of interest for Maricopa County, so we will take the feedback and we will do it. Lamonta, how do I get membership? All you have to do is book a free call. A lot of what we do is based on your needs and what you are interested in, and how we can help you achieve your goals. And so that's going to be catered directly to you. And so the best way is to get onto a phone call. We will have a link below on how to do that. What if I can't? What if I can't get access to my funds till the end of September? Yeah, that's no problem, Wendy. The other thing too is that it's like you want to be able to practice this. You want to be able to have like a couple mock auctions, you could say, before you do this for real. So we do live auction training, each month. And there's been a lot of times that I've really had to like push people. It's like, yeah, this is your property right now. And they're like, this is my property. It's like, yeah, this is your property. And it's like, hey, bid, get your hand up. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Okay, okay. And so there's a lot of nerve sometimes. And so if you're able to go through the process a few times before you actually are ready to pull the trigger on something, it can be really helpful. The other thing too is that you don't want your first time attending the auction to be the first, like you don't want the first time that you're ready to spend money at an auction. You don't want that to be your first time at an auction, if you know what I mean. And so you want to be able to get a couple of reps. And there's online auctions every single month. Realauction.com. They've got a lot of Texas online auctions, and so you could just do a mock auction. You could look at a couple pieces of land and come up with a bit of a max bid, you could say. And yeah, the other thing too is that think about this. If you're just waiting until you have money and then you go to an auction that has intense competition and you can't really get deals, you would rather know about that in advance, right? So that once you do have capital, once money does free up, you know where to capitalize on the moment and where to go. Because there are a lot of auctions that are insane, where it's like nobody is making money here. I don't understand what's happening. It's probably like money laundering. Those auctions that accept cash. It's just like, what? It's a real thing. So you want to be in places where you can get a good deal. Okay, Mina, hi, new from Fort Worth, Texas. Yeah, awesome. Texas is a great market. There's a lot going on in Texas. It's a redeemable tax deed state, which means you get the property at the auction, but the owner does have 6 months to buy it back from you with a 25% interest penalty. So if they can't afford to pay the taxes, most likely they can't afford to pay you what you pay at the auction plus 25% interest penalty. So you do have all of the rights to the property. They just have the right to redeem. Yeah, Texas is a great state. There's so much going on in Texas. Lori says, over the counter, where to start. So earlier in the video, we did highlight the vault, vault.taxlienschool.com. So that's a great place to check out. Go back to the start of this video, watch that, and that's going to show you where to start. Oh, nice. Mohammed, I will be joining your mentorship program. I'm interested in Philadelphia and Houston deed sale. Yeah, so just all you have to do is book a call. We have people that are available. I got to tell you, we're just trying to squeeze this one in today. Dustin's on the road. He is at a wedding, and he fired this thing up. And I got a couple calls here that I've got a jet for. But yeah, we wanted to be consistent. And so the thing is that we did highlight some incredible opportunities here, but it's not going to make you money consuming information. You got to take action. And so we're here to help you take action, but everything you need is also here as well, to get started. And so Dustin always talks about how he ran into this guy named Bob, and Bob like literally took Dustin's hand and raised it at an auction and helped him get into it, because there is a lot of unknowns in the tax lien tax deed space. Think about it. There's no middleman. The county just says, here, buy these properties. And when you ask them questions, a lot of times they'll just say, we don't give legal advice. Buyer beware, do your own due diligence. I can't actually say anything about it. Sometimes they are helpful, but you kind of got to act like your own, real estate agent, figuring out how much property is worth, a contractor figuring out how much to quote rehab for. Not that you are going to rehab the property, but you've got to be able to know, how much you can pay for a property based on the rehab, right? And then you kind of got to act like your own real estate attorney, doing a title search, making sure that there's no red flags, things like that. So there definitely are a lot of moving pieces. I got to tell you though that it can be quite daunting getting into it. So that's why in the ABCs of tax lien deed investing, this is what we give for free. We've kind of taken all the information and put it into this accessible format. So this is a great way to get started. But yeah, for hand holding, live auction training, coaching, things like that, book a call with us. We pride ourselves on giving the most information out there for free. I can't think of anybody else in this space that does that. So that's what we pride ourselves on. And we'll be back on Tuesday. So thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out. And glad that we got through all the questions. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that regular stuff about YouTube. And we'll see you next week. All right, take care, everybody. Peace.